Greetings, Keechlings. Keechlin Prime here with my review of Attack on Titan, Chapter 106. I still don't think I actually got a title for it. Let me look. Oh yeah, Volunteer Soldiers. I don't know why I don't remember that. But, anyway, the chapter starts off, and it's not revealed exactly who's giving, like, this narration, but it's Armin. And, like, it's this whole chapter, except for like the very first panel and about 5 pages at the end, are all flashbacks to right about when the time skip would have occurred. We see a Marleyan ship, and they're the first surveillance ship, and the second and the third one are like preparing to land and all that. Are they transmit that the first one's going to land, the second and third one are on standby. The captain, he's like, okay, we've made it to the island where all those horrible devils are, and then that's when the ship just kind of gets reverse Titanicked not Armin, but Aaron. He comes up underneath them. It's this is 3 years, so a year after, basically right before the time skip, or right after the time skip. So, but yeah, so he ends up beaching the ship. The soldiers are like, what's going on? Because they're basically almost falling off. They finally realize what's going on, and then it's kind of a Hanji sees the ship get put on to land, and she's like, welcome to Jurassic Park, Paradise Island, and would you like some tea, or would you like some, or as Levi would later mention, would you like some pig piss, which gets ridiculous. But anyway, she's like, you are our guests, and by that she means prisoners, but only for a relatively short time. But it's revealed that she has this guy who I swear I've seen before, but I've looked around and I couldn't find him unless he's in a random chapter somewhere. His name is, let's see, what was it? Niccolo. And she's like, oh, but you'll have to go after this guy. And it's like, and he's like, what? No, shoot them dead. They're the devils. Don't worry about me, Captain. Well, the captain was about to... What? Okay, you filthy blood, and I'll destroy all of you. Well, he ends up getting shot in the head. But not before, the whole situation is revealed to them. It's like, there's a Titan looming right over them. What did they really expect to do? But he was like, nope, I'm going to shoot you anyway. If I'm going to die, I might as well go out a hero. Well, that's when he got shot, and it's the girl we met last chapter, Yelena. And she's like, toss down your weapons. Captain's dead. I don't care anymore. And you got, what's his name? It's the weird name, the Yonkopon. Really weird names. I mean, But she's like, oh, I would be honored to, join you and everything and have tea. And it's like, I really wanted to meet Aaron. And we see a camp that was built near the shore, and we get our core cast. The at time still living Sasha, though she's asleep. You have Jean, Connie, Mikasa, Armin, and Aaron, who's obstructed by a talk bubble at first. He's like, we were lucky. If I hadn't obstructed the enemy's landing, it could have gone bad. And Hanji is being getting a formal education in the standard arms that they have, which is actually something we've seen before in just the last few chapters. The guns that are on the 3D gear that half of the Survey Corps was using during the attack on Paradise, it's the same gun. It looks like a Luger with a magazine clip modified onto it. But yeah, Yolanda mentions, it's standard issue, and then she goes about that, like, the how the military is structured. There are 50 divisions, 20,000 per division, and it's roughly 1 million soldiers strong. And that there are 21 battleships in their fleet, which, to be honest, seems like a small fleet. But this was before I think they united. So, yeah. That fleet gets much bigger after the time skip. But anyway, and then she mentions like they had aviation planned and stuff. And I don't know if Hanji really understood what aviation was, but she seemed kind of scared by it. And Levy's like, "Yeah, don't get scared. Don't show them your fear." But then I'll have to consult the notes again. Young Anyang Kapan, that name just don't flow from me. Sorry. He mentions that like part of the, well, let's see, like that it would be able to easily just destroy them from the sky, and it's like, what? Why hasn't that been done yet? I mean, we've been like, for a year we've basically been, fully exposed. And there are two reasons Yolanda mentions, is that the Titans themselves that roamed the island, I say roamed because they're all dead now, was its own like natural, like obstacle terrain barrier for them, because it stopped planes from landing. So, they got to refuel eventually. So, unless there's a fueling system inside of the plane where they can just load, I mentioned this during my live reaction. But yeah, that was what's obstructing them. So that's actually protecting them, even though there's this advanced technology being used by the Marlians. And then the second reason is the what was it? Well, wait. It was that they're like constantly in wars with other countries because of all the enemies they've made. And what was kind of funny is that, like, with all the Titans, it was like becoming dawn, and Yolanda was like, the Titans will be getting active again. It's like, is it safe outside the walls? And it was like, oh, this is kind of amusing because all the Titans are dead. And it's like, and Levy's like, have the Marlians been informed of this? And she's like, no, this was unexpected. And then, like I said, that's when they get into like the second reason. But like, they've just been too preoccupied with fighting other wars with other countries. So, and the whole thing of getting back the loss of the colossal and female Titans, because the whole little infiltration squad from a few years back, they excuse me, they failed, essentially. Only 2 came back. So that's what started this war with Paradise. Well, I guess escalated it, because they already hated Paradise. So but and it was like, you defeated our warriors and you stole 2 of them, and how that Marley happens to have like a lot of enemies, and then at any instance they could oppose them. So the war has only just begun. And Hanji mentions that it's like, are you a spy from like one of the other countries then that's kind of like opposed, like you've infiltrated Marley's government or the army? And they kind of got stone-faced, and it's like, yeah, turns out, yeah. So it's like, oh, so that's your motives. You just don't have any support, right? And Yolanda's like goes through how like her hometown was snatched by Marley, and that they were all drafted and they were powerless, and over time their will to fight back was just, it lulled away. That was until Zeke guided them. She sees him as a god because he wants to free essentially everybody that's ever been oppressed, I think. And it shows that there's a hope in the world. And and that when she shot the captain before on the ship, that was Zeke's orders. So they are part of the anti-Marley faction. And from there it moves on to like I guess a hearing. I really don't know. It's never clarified what it is. But Zeke's demands are basically that he wants to be accepted into Paradise Island, and that along with the help of his, brother, half-brother, Aaron, that this secret plan that he has would be able to be, brought to fruition. And that, and in exchange of this, like, they'll share technology and everything and help kind of bridge gaps with other nations that hate Marley as well. And also help with, like, information gathering that's related to Marley anyway. And that ultimately, it's like, it's just for the survival of the Eldians. And people are like, this is a bunch of bull. It's like the Beast Titan's evil. He killed everybody. Or, well, he killed almost the whole Survey Corps. And then he attacked the Ragako villagers and turned them into Titans, which was Connie's village. I had forgotten that. But I did remember, I seem to recall that, but I don't remember what significance that had. Part of that arc didn't even feel like it was in the walls to me for some reason. But anyway, so yeah, they don't really want him anywhere on this island anymore. And but then, like, some of the higher ups are like, well, his plan's been consistent. I mean, they just want the founding Titan. And so they should, like, kind of continue the negotiations, because brute force just doesn't work. And so yeah, they continue on with the talks. The secret plan gets mentioned, and that it requires the founding Titan and a Titan that possesses the blood of a royal family member. And then Aaron actually does eventually reveal that, like, wait, I know what this plan is. And it goes back to when the very first chapter of the series, and Dina Fritz, her Titan form, and he was, like, trying to stop her from hurting his mother and killing him and all that stuff. And it's he's like, oh, it's like, because now that they're all aware that Zeke is connected to the royal family, all that, it was like, it's because she was a Titan that had royal blood. Aaron already had the founding Titan. Bam! And then, like, I guess a memory popped into his head. And about how they refer to it, earthen rumbling. I prefer, like, world trampling or something like that. That sounds cooler, but whatever. Every chapter calls it something different. So they know that, the whole relationship there, and that this will be, the wall holds, like, all these Titans in it, as we saw, like, a few chapters back and everything. So this is just how they learned about them the first time. And Levy was, like, a little, like, just, well, in his own way, angry. And it was like, why didn't you tell anyone about this before? It turns out is because he didn't want his story to be, like, turned into a Titan based on, like, unreliable information. I mean, he only heard about it or knew about it one time. So it was an abrupt decision that he made, and, but it kind of worked out in the end, I guess. So yeah, now that they know what Zeke's secret plan is, they're trying to move forward. People still have their doubts, obviously. But now they have to protect the island from the two other reconnaissance ships, and they're using the soldiers with their wireless communications and all that to like lure them in. And it's like, oh, hey, Yolanda's like, oh, we're stranded. Can you help us? Oh, we're coming. And then they attack once they get drawing close enough, and Armin goes in, Colossal Titan, and basically just we actually don't even see it really what he does. He just kind of stands there. But yeah, and then Levy's just kind of like, hey, all you new prisoners of paradise, welcome. Have some pig piss. But anyway, and what was kind of weird is that Armin even mentions that it was kind of fun in those days, which I could understand some of it. They start setting up like industrial plans, like sharing their technology, like setting up a harbor, which was kind of funny because like some of our main cast apparently doesn't know what a harbor is. Connie thought it was like a playground. Jean thought it was like a place that would have a mixed gender bathhouse. Sasha thought it was something delicious. It's hilarious. And once they can dock their ships there, they can establish connection with other like nations, so it'll be good for them to have. And then something that kind of like I wouldn't have even thought about, because when it comes to like Japan's culture and race and everything, it doesn't really come up that often, at least not in the series that I read. But they mention like, hey, that name again, Anya Kampa. Anyway, I'm getting tired of that name. Like, why is he black? And he mentions like, oh well, it's just because everyone's made a little bit different by God. And I thought he was going to go like a little bit too religious into it, but it stayed not too bad, But he mentions like how the Eldians are all made by Ymir, and then Ymir was made by God, and everybody's different. Well, anyway, as the harbor was being built, I assume it was the harbor, they eventually start fishing seafood out, and our main cast finally gets seafood really for the first time, which really, haven't they had like fish before? I mean, they do have like rivers that run in, so how have they never had any of this before? Unless it's all caught up, and given to like the higher ups and stuff. But anyway, so they got seafood. Sasha's like, oh, this is awesome. It smells awesome. And I swear she ate the shell of that lobster. And then she called Niccolo a genius, and he actually blushes. And that makes me wonder if there's a small ship in there, Because, like, I think he's not going to take her death very lightly. And then it moves over to, like, the shooting range, and Armin and Aaron and Sasha, or not Sasha, sorry, Mikasa are there, and there was like, we're progressing very quickly because they have the engineers of Marley, and how like at first things didn't go smoothly, but over time, which is kind of a thing, is like as long as enough time is given, things smooth over. But and they show like that they're developing trains and stuff, like they made a little model, so they're going to be getting that eventually. And Aaron asks Armin like, did you get anything useful from Bertolt's memories? And he's like, no, nothing in particular useful. And Aaron's like, well, Zeke doesn't have much longer left, about 3 years, so we need to do this plan as quickly as possible. And like everything's going up according to Yolanda's plans, all those strategies, so like where's the problem anymore? And like it seems like Armin is really, this is probably the first time. We see him again like a couple chapters ago where he doesn't seem to like how things are going, and I'm wondering if he's eventually going to turn traitor on them at some point. But he mentions like that, Yolanda had said that they were serious about threatening the world with this, and it's like it's no other tactics will protect the Eldian people, but it'll be like a terrible thing to the world. It'll strike fear to everyone. And he's like, but can't we discuss it together with people? It's like, we have a harbor, we can go talk to other people. And Aaron, he ain't having that. It's like, yeah, we don't have misunderstandings with these people. They want us dead, and we want them dead, basically. But it's like we transform into monsters. They're not going to, understand us. So, Mikasa intersects, what's the word? Inserts herself into the conversation a bit, and we're making friends with the Marleyans at least, and furthermore, like giving time, and that's kind of where it changes over to the present. We see Sasha getting shot again. Armin is crying. He was hoping like maybe things could have gone differently. It shows them, I assume on Paradise, they're unloading the airship and everything, and it shows him, and he's like talking to someone off screen and saying like there were 8 funerals today because of the 8 people that were killed during the campaign, and he's holding a seashell, which is symbolic of how open they are to the world now. And he says that he intended to understand Eren more, even more than Mikasa, but like he doesn't even know anymore, and I'm not fully understanding what that is. So please clarify that in the comments if you don't mind. It could just be something that I'm forgetting, like always. But it just shows them like all the stuff that's kind of happened, how all the people were being killed, and he's like, I don't like that people were pulled into this. And then he's like, if the naval port of Marley is strong, then an attack is coming. And if that's the case, then reconciliation is not possible anymore. They don't have any other choice. But then he's like, it must be like you guys that day, right, Annie? And it shows that he was sitting in front of Annie that whole time. And she's still a crystal and everything, so he's like, I want you to answer something, please. And then we see, it changes over yet again, we see Zeke and Levi, they're in a carriage, they're heading off to an unknown location, but we see like happy people because it's all been reported as a victory for Paradise. And Levi's like, shut up, I'm going to kill you and send you back to your country, but hey, I can wait a little while longer. It doesn't bother me one way or another, but this secret plan thing, it might work. Zeke's like, oh, so I'm so grateful for your lenient words. And he's like, well, we'll meet up with Eren soon, right? Please stop glaring at me. We see that Gabby and Colt. No, it is Falco. I said Colt in the live reaction. I'm stupid. They're in a jail cell. We see the funeral. Mikasa's like leaning up, I would assume against Sasha's grave, but I could be wrong. And like there's a thing that transcends. She's like, if we don't win, we'll die. If we win, we'll survive. And then this is essentially almost mirrored by Eren in the final page. He is saying, if we don't fight, we can't win. So fight and fight. And he was washing himself up and everything and giving himself a man bun. But yeah, the chapter when I read it the first time, like, it's so bogged down, and this review's probably bogged down too. I'm sorry about that, just so much information. But like, it could have been more show and no or show than tell, like some of the developments and stuff, like a little box of narration saying like they shared like their gun technology, their flight technology, their boat technology, I guess, to an extent, their train stuff, all that would have been fine, and it would have gotten the point across. We didn't need to hear about half of what we heard about, in my opinion, but that's just me. Overall, I give it a better score than what I would have probably given it, but I didn't actually give it a score during the reaction. I'm giving it just a 4. I mean, we're already... I did like that it filled us in from the time skip. That's very beneficial. But overall, it's just a 4 to me, yeah. I don't really know what else to say about it, to be honest. I mean, we learn more about the characters that we, about them and that kind of thing, and I guess we're back in the present now, so we're not going to be learning any more about the past, I'm guessing, so that's that. But anyway, thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at KeishanPrime, and I'll see you next time. Keishlings, roll out.